sort of partnerships with local governments or to bring not only small cells for 5G, but in general?
Yeah, so we definitely have, and a couple examples would be, for those of you that are skiers or hikers outside of Salt Lake City, of Little Cottonwood, Big Cottonwood Canyon. And at the tops of those canyons are Skierist, Snowbird, Alta, Solitude, Brighton. And that before we put infrastructure in place, there was no coverage. And so the Utah Department of Transportation was really interested in having coverage for public safety and also for cameras. So our end customer are the wireless carriers in this case, but as we ran fiber up those canyons, we provided some of that fiber connectivity to UDOT to be able to provide cameras, and now there's coverage. There's also availability to take a look at whether or not you need to shut down a canyon due to avalanches, et cetera. So yes, there are definitely models of it, and there are more that we've done, Colorado Department of Transportation as well.
Mm-hmm. What I love about that example, if I may, is just that you're talking about a DOT project that was enabled all kinds of additional innovation based on that one application. I mean, that's one of the things that we're seeing communities start to do, is that they're planning collaboratively across these various city silos, so that you're having, DOT might pay for the initial fiber investment, but then you've got all these other applications that can pile onto that. And I mean, you guys were doing something similar in one of the cities you were working with, weren't you?
Which one?
Where you were getting a federal grant, and then you were able to have all these other community departments use it. That's right.
Here in
That's
DC?
right.
Yeah.
Okay, no, that's fantastic. And Lisa, this question is for you. I mean, this is not, again, we are talking about 5G right now, but fiber has been going on for decades. We know that it has seen multiple waves. The same questions would apply that, at that point, who paid for that, right? So based on your member company's experience, can you share actually, where fiber investment is right now, and in the past, how actually your member companies have managed that funding so that they can actually go into this heavy deployments?
Sure. So we are, a lot of our members and a lot of the new entrants are looking for ways to build, their fiber networks, their broadband networks. And we see a combination of things, and some that were already mentioned here. Certainly public-private partnerships are responsible for the building of a lot of fiber networks, and those can take various forms. And in fact, Daryl's company is very expert on the different models. And of course, those public-private partnerships vary by who is doing the investing, who is doing the building, and therefore who has the most risk, who has the greatest benefit. So we see a lot of public-private partnerships, a lot of private investment. And then we also see our members turn to the federal programs, both at the USDA RUS. They have several programs and are in the middle.
These slides, if you want to progress on that.
Sure. I don't remember what slides I gave you. Thank you. Those are. Yeah. So, I started with the USDA RUS, and there's a lot of programs ongoing there. Some combination of grants, loans, and guarantees. And the RUS is in the process now of announcing winners of some of those programs, and we have a lot of members participate in those as well. We are seeing electric co-ops get a lot of that money right now, and that makes sense. They have infrastructure in place, they have customers, they have systems in place, and so it's a natural thing for them to become fiber broadband providers. At the FCC, there's a number of programs you're probably familiar with: universal service, whether it's E-rate, schools and libraries, rural health care. But the one we're very focused on right now, and I'll talk a little bit about our studies there, is RDOF, Rural Digital Opportunities Fund, which was announced earlier this year, and Chairman Pai has announced $20 billion to go out over the next decade through reverse auction for broadband networks. In our participation in that proceeding, I think we did a couple of studies that I do want to talk about here, and this is about rolling fiber out to all Americans. We did research through the Cartesian Group. They did a cost study for us, which we announced in September, and we found that 90% of U.S. homes can be reached with fiber broadband in the next 10 years through an investment of $70 billion.